Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Championship Check-In podcast. We're navigating another 3-game week. We'll try our best to touch on 2 rounds of EFL Championship football. Sam, you've been a busy boy and across 2 games this midweek.
Cool, mate. That'll be a job. Trying to keep across the last couple of rounds. I've no idea what happened an hour ago. Let alone last weekend. Yeah, no, it's been good. I went to QPR just as a punter on Tuesday, which was nice just to watch a game. And
Are you able to disconnect and watch as a punter, or do you go into analyst mode?
I probably did do a little bit of that actually, but it's probably just nice to watch a game and not have to talk for the first time in a while, apart from to talk about how bad QPR were at various stages of the first half with a couple of mates. But no, it was nice to just switch off. I'm feeling the effects a little bit now though. I'm tired. Just juggling home life, and then obviously the game last night as well, Luton Cardiff, which was very down for 45 minutes, but the second half picked up, and another great week really, almost as if it's time for an international break, eh?
I think Parkin's pick is obvious here, but we do have a clutch of teams on for the fabled 9.3 game week. We are going to talk about Sheffield United later in the show because, spoiler alert, I think the mouthwatering matchup for the weekend is going to be a bit of a landslide, let's just say. We're probably also going to be able to talk about Stoke and Swansea in a little bit, which leaves you a nice open goal, Sam, for me to go Mill, and we can reveal Parkin's pick. Incredible run from Millwall.
Yeah, I think I teased it a couple of weeks ago after I'd seen them against Plymouth Argyle. And the outcome was very similar to the last couple of games. So, 4 on the bounce now, none conceded. Yeah, they deserve an enormous amount of credit, I think, to limit Burnley and then limit Leeds to what a Nonto header, disallowed Peru finish. I had a little spy in the camp last night who assures me that the centre halves in particular were magnificent. I mean, Tanganga, I wouldn't say he's getting better and better, but the level of his performance since he's come in, I think he missed the first 2 games of the season.
It's so obvious when he comes back, isn't it?
I think, and they conceded 7 home to Watford and at Bristol City. So the defensive stability is incredible that they've got now with him and Cooper. So I think those 2 were probably right up there in terms of the top performers last night. And interesting that they did it with obviously McNamara coming in at left back and Wintle playing in midfield as well. So, you could argue that he shuffled the pack a little bit, because of the magnitude of games, and the outcome was exactly the same. So huge credit for Neil Harris getting his team to be, again, so comfortable without the ball and in their shape, which was magnificent last night. And then you maybe not displayed overly last night, but you look at all the statistics early part of the season and where they lie now in terms of their attacking stats. This is a much better attacking Millwall team as now with the craft and the directness of Aziz and SA. Honeyman obviously brings his own qualities. Watmore's had a terrific start to the season and Watmore's available now, and so is Coburn. So things are looking incredibly rosy ahead of the next cluster of games. But yeah, a brilliant win because I thought and it's not luck, but I thought the run would probably be halted by Leeds last night. So magnificent win.
So the 6 unbeaten, Sam, as well as the 4 1-0 wins. And I mean, I want to get into your player's head on this. So it was 1-0 defeat against Cardiff. And then, I mean, they're a gambler's dream here for under 1.5 goals, aren't they? 0-0, 1-1. Okay. 1-0, 1-0, 1-0, 1-0. Have you ever played in a defensive team, Sam? And what is the mindset of a player? Because obviously the object of football is to score goals. That's literally the aim. But how do you approach this strategy of, quote, being hard to beat? Because that's obviously what they're doing.
Well, the ingredients are hard work, organisation, time on the training ground. I think having the leaders, in terms of your central defenders mainly, leadership qualities. It's difficult to pinpoint a time in my career when I remember the year I stayed up at Northampton very early in my career, and it wasn't a great side with loads of attacking intent, but I think we recognised early part of the season that our strength was probably going to be in our goalkeeper and in 3 really aggressive, experienced centre halves. So we played a little bit more on the counter attack, and we invariably picked up the majority of our points at home. I wouldn't necessarily say that it was a blueprint that we had focused in on or predicted was going to be the outcome of the season, but it's how it fell. And we ended up being incredibly competitive in the home games. Away from home, obviously, it's difficult, I think, when you're giving away so much of the ball and you're so reliant on, I suppose, creating chances on the counter-attack. But that's probably the best example I can give. I think Millwall have that, don't they, in terms of the structure of the team, in terms of the leaders. I mean, I said it previously, Tanganga is, operating at such a high level now. It feels difficult to. I don't think he was in the conversation, was he, for our team of the season so far?
No, he really should be now, shouldn't he?
Ryan Leonard got in there, didn't he? I mean, if he's going to pop up with goals to complement what Jake Cooper does in the opposition's 18-yard box, he's going to be talked about a lot this season. So yeah, I think they've always had that. And listen, they're still bottom in terms of the possession stats. I say bottom; they're the lowest possession in the table. So anyone thinking this is a Millwall team that's going to be over elaborate in build up is on the wrong path. I think what they are doing is they have got better forward players and they are playing forward quickly. And in an essay, and Aziz in particular, Langstaff as well, because of his diminutive stature in comparison to what they've maybe had before, you've got to play on the deck and you've got to play in behind opposition teams. So I think the football's still exciting. It's still kind of Millwall-esque tempo and aggression and what have you, but it's not been boomed up to a 6'3" centre forward. So I think that's the main difference. And we'll wait and see how it progresses, because Coburn might come back in the reckoning and that's an option again for them. But at the moment, I see a team that is having an extra pass and a team that is looking to play forward fast, quick, and sometimes, more often than not, on the floor, which is, I think, varying where Millwall have been in previous seasons and previous guises under Neil Harris as well.
And where are Millwall going to be this season? Let us know in the comments, especially if you've been at the Den this past couple of games. I mean, to beat Burnley and Leeds in back-to-back games is outstanding. Millwall are 5th in the table, and we'll close this segment out by quoting a tweet from Richard Corley, who's an excellent South London journalist. Best points return in the Championship since Neil Harris took the Millwall job in February. The Lions top of the pile with 48 points over that period. That's more than Leeds, who are on 47. And he ends his tweet by saying, "Have that." And we'll end this segment by saying, "Have that." Well, this is a bit embarrassing, Sam, because we normally have like one public apology. We have 5 public apologies to make for weekend and midweek. I'll go through them bit by bit, but I want to focus on the ones from last night, or one particularly from last night. Swansea beat Oxford at the weekend. We both said Oxford would win. Coventry beat Borough. I'm not going to apologise for that, Sam, because there was a red card earlier in that game. So sorry, Coventry fans. That's one of those apologies where it's like, oh, I'm sorry you were upset by what I said. Make the other person responsible. Watford, we gave them a big up, didn't we? I'm not apologising to Watford for beating Sheffield Wednesday 6-2. We predicted that the other way. We gave him a big up in the prediction show, didn't we? But in midweek, Oxford beat Hull. We both had that going the other way. And Derby beat Coventry. So we'll do a double public apology to Oxford and Derby. We never meant to doubt you, even though Derby have been filthy horrible on the road and now show up to Coventry and get a win. Oxford, yeah, maybe have we fallen asleep a little bit on how good Oxford have been, Sam? And can you just parlay this apology into just a little chat on those two teams still looking good for survival for your money? They're way over a point per game at the moment.
Yeah, well, really important results, I think. First and foremost, Derby having not won away from home was, a magnificent result and an interesting team selection. I think, different shape from Paul Warne.
Yes.
Jackson played wing back, I think. Thompson in midfield getting a lot of the plaudits for the work he did in there. Spoke a lot about Ozo start of the season, the loanee who's now absent. So maybe on the road that was a little bit of a blueprint, really. Two up top, mobile forwards as well, and obviously Yates getting a goal and a half. Good for him. And Coventry not fully at it. Obviously, he handed them the first goal, didn't they? And the second one, a heavy deflection. So they're not creating an abundance of chances, Derby. But I think in terms of the work ethic and the organisation, that was probably what.
But you nailed it, Sam. A blueprint. Those Derby fans are going to be okay. We can win an away game like this now, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's always as easy as that. I'm not suggesting they're going to completely flip their away form around because of this one victory. Coventry have obviously had two brilliant results as well. And it's difficult to keep fizzing out the results, especially if you've had an inconsistency and a little bit of a lack of belief. But, for Derby going there, having watched them be magnificent, Coventry in that second 45 against Luton recently, where they played some brilliant stuff. They're a difficult side to lock down. So Derby deserve an awful lot of credit for that, especially being pegged back to 2-1. So that was a great win for them. Remaining competitive. Oxford, similarly, they're competitive in every game, it would seem.
Every game.
Yeah, maybe Sunderland, the one anomaly where they were well beaten there, quite comfortably. But here again, I think a back three, which we haven't seen much. Obviously, Paul Warne has been a disciple of that shape over the years, certainly at Rotherham. So a little bit more of a change for Oxford. And Van Hest, I think I've butchered that, but him and Greg Lee, I think the wide players, and obviously combining for the goal. Not loads on the goal, but I don't think it mattered how they got that victory because they've been a little few and far between. Clean sheets as well have evaded them in recent games. So probably to get the structure of the team right and change one or two things around. I think Goodwin played as a 10 and double pivot. I think there was just a few little changes, and that probably exemplifies that the points have been slightly harder to come by recently. So no, really good win. And look, it looked like Hull had a couple of very, very near misses. I think Bedia had a chance late on that just whistled past the post, and Pedro as well. But a real off night for them, Hull, and question marks.
Can I just question you on Hull, Sam? Because I'd be very concerned if don't know whether you're concerned if you're a Hull fan or not, because you might not be behind Tim Volter. But knowing Mr. Ilachali can be a bit volatile, knowing Tim Volter seems to be a bit as well, and there's an international break coming. I mean, you covered the first one of these, the 4-0 defeat at Norwich. But 4-0, they lost 1-0 to Sunderland, drew 1-1 to Burnley. Okay, fine, difficult games. But then they've played the three promoted teams in a row, 1-1, 1-1, 1-0. They've got West Brom at home. You know what I'm getting at with an international break coming and Mr. Ilachali being the owner. That feels tense, doesn't it?
Yeah, you'd never rule it out, but no. I think you'd be a brave man to suggest they're going to change again. Remind me where the Derby game was. Portsmouth was at home, wasn't it?
So they played Derby away.
Derby away, Pompey at home, and then Oxford away. Yes.
Yeah, and they're at home to West Brom for the next one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a poor return, isn't it? The Pompey game, it could have been worse, could it not? I think Pompey were good value for the point.
Came strong
So
at the end, I think.
yeah, I mean, I wasn't impressed with them at Norwich, but that was a catastrophic afternoon for them in all departments. Really, I went into the game kind of really enthused about seeing some of this forward attacking play. It was probably more remembered by me for actually some woeful defending and being wide open, and the little intricacies in his setup in terms of one of those centre halves going into midfield not working. The lack of pace was really evident defensively. So I think, this ain't going to be this isn't feeling like it's going to be a season where they're going to be challenging, but obviously there's a decent amount of expectation given the players that have been brought in, and this decision to change Liam Rosenior for the new chap Volta as well. So yeah, a really poor return, and I would suggest they need a performance. It's strong to say over a result, but I think they probably need a performance in this next game, irrelevant of maybe the outcome, because we know West Brom on their day can be incredibly strong.
So there you go. Turned into a bit of a whole chat in the end, but that's my fault. So just to be very clear, we are apologising to Oxford and Derby for ever doubting you this midweek, and both looking very good for being championship clubs and away from the bottom of the table going into next season. Okay, Sam, so for we need to talk about, we are going to now mention Stoke and Swansea, the other two sides who could get a 9-point week. And I doubt they would have been in our conversations at the start of the week when we were stacking up the potentials for a perfect 3 wins from 3. You've given me the hot potato of talking about Stoke, because it's always a bit of a nightmare when they have a couple of wins, because we get excited and then things tend to go back the other way. But it was a 2-1 win at home to Derby at the weekend. One of those interesting games where you get an own goal and a goal by the same player in the same game. Well, it seems to have gone down to Victor Johansson, doesn't it? But I think, Ben Gibson certainly involved in both of those bits of action. And a 2-0 win at Blackburn. And Sam, I'm doubting myself here, and the Stoke fans are going to get cross with me, because I'm just wondering whether they're going to be looking as soft fixtures. Do you know what I mean? And we still need to see a little bit more. Obviously, you just pointed out in the last segment that was Derby's last away game before they kind of pivoted and made a change to a different strategy because it just wasn't working. So there's an argument it was a good time to play Derby, and it does feel like a good time to play Blackburn. At the moment, it feels like the toothpaste is out of the tube a little bit after a brilliant home run, and they've all of a sudden lost 2 home games in a row. I think as Tom Cannon scored in both penalties, weren't they? But still, they've got a goal scorer there. And I did notice watching the coverage as well, there are a lot of high fives for Vic Johansson at the end of the game for keeping the minute. So
let's focus in on that just quickly, because I think it's a rarity for me to compliment goalkeepers. He has produced certainly 1, maybe 2 of the best saves I've seen this season. The first one is incredible. So given you just mentioned it, the comedy kind of own goal between him and Gibson in the previous game, that was incredible performance from him last night. And this is how rock and roll my life is, Ben. I got into bed last night and I thought I better just watch some of the goals.
iPad up, yeah.
So I'm across it. I was actually on my phone and I clicked on the stats from that game. I think Blackburn had 25 attempts. And,
okay,
given what we feel about Blackburn, I suppose, and probably everyone does, they're not probably going to be one of the most creative sides in the division. They're going to be hard to beat, but it drew a sharp intake of breath from me to think, blimey, that probably was a little bit unfortunate that they haven't got anything out of that game. But yeah, full credit to Stoke.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't want this to be... Stoke fans, get in the comments and let Sam and I know if we're barking up the right tree here. But we probably do need to see the third win and the actual 9 points to be kind of more convinced. But you've got to start, with, you've got to start somehow when you roll. And, Narcis Pellet hasn't been in long. All I'll say is Parkin's pick were Millwall. Stoke play Millwall at the weekend. So full credit again. It sounds like we're damning with faint praise here because back-to-back wins in the Championship at the start of the 3-game week is outstanding. But let's see how Stoke go against Millwall. Talk to me about Swansea, Sam. Also on for the 9-pointer.
Yeah, again, a continuation, really, like winning really tight football matches, having to roll their sleeves up. This incredibly good defensive record. I think only 3 teams have conceded fewer than Swansea this season. It was a necessity when you consider that they've come into the season with a lot of new players that were potentially going to take a little bit of time to get going. And I think we're seeing the product of that now. I think the team looks like it's got a nice balance to it. The new players are starting to find a little bit of rhythm. Vipotnik and Bianchini both scored, did they not, at Oxford, I think, recently, and in the previous game, sorry. And Pert Harris obviously gets a goal here. A really talented young player that I saw at Chelsea, only kind of fleetingly, if memory serves, but real classy kind of midfield forward player, 6'2", but velvet touch, lot of flair. So I'm sure Luke Williams will be someone that can absolutely give him the platform to flourish. I think he's on loan from Brentford now. So yeah, big goal for him. And I think, I haven't just touched on the defensive record, and they did make, certainly one of them made my team, and we discussed both of them at length, but Cabango and Harry Darling, I think that's probably one of the best partnerships in the division at the moment. And I think I'm right in saying that there's contract negotiations, or I think contracts running out here with these two. So I'm sure a lot of clubs will be looking on, and I'm sure Swansea will be talking to them, because there's no surprise that they are sitting rather pretty in the table at the moment, and that's despite a clear, real lack of goals and attacking threat in the squad currently. That could change, I think, again, as people adjust to the league, but I think it's probably something that will be looked at as soon as the January window opens. But yeah, brilliant couple of wins for them, and after a difficult start to the season, going very well.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. So Swansea head to Burnley at the weekend, and at time of recording, Burnley have not yet played in the midweek round. Their game's shuffled on to Thursday night. They play West Brom. That's tonight as we're recording, obviously. And just to round this out, neither Swansea or Stoke had double home games to start the week. So really, really impressive stuff. Get in the comments if you're a Swans fan or a Stoke fan on the possibility of the fabled 9-point week. Well, let's move on to cause for concern, and I'm playing a bit fast and loose with the title here, because I just want to talk about the 2 games that you were covering this midweek. But QPR are definitely a cause for concern. And Sam, you were in the stadium. I think I heard some boos when the Middlesbrough goals were going in, which is a far cry from the end of last season and Marty Cifuentes and all the kind of optimism we had for this season. And if you want to just touch on Luton, I know you mentioned them briefly earlier in the show, but they've been our cause for concern several times. If you want to touch on their game as well, and I suppose you'd better tell me which Middlesbrough you saw at the weekend. On Tuesday night, because they've been a little erratic, haven't they?
Well, firstly, I'm going to apologise to Dan Barlasser, because it's the only Championship goal of the week that I haven't seen.
And you were at the game.
I was part of the mass exodus when it went 3-1. Yeah, I didn't have much time, and I wanted to go and have a quick post-match beverage with my mates. So yeah, we got off with the rest of the QPR
down South Africa Road. Yeah,
crowds. Yeah. So yeah, we heard it go in. I thought it was the full-time whistle. We heard it go in about 500 yards from the ground. My sentiment leaving, and this is not to discredit Middlesbrough, who were far and away the better side, but I thought it was that QPR were bad rather than Middlesbrough were good or great, as the result would suggest. That said, they had some brilliant individual performances. Ben Doak, I'm sure you've heard, had a brilliant night. I think he created the first for
Loves a step over.
Riley McGree. Yeah, just someone who can speed the game up, incredibly direct. Horrible to be 1v1 up against him. Thought Riley McGree, I really like the way they set up with that kind of box midfield and the way he comes in off the left-hand side, because Jimmy Dunn, who's playing that slightly unfamiliar role, although he's been doing great there for seems about 6 months now, he doesn't really have a direct opponent, so it shifted QPR around. I thought he was very good. Azaz, some eye-catching moments as well. I think for them, just a coherent plan. You know, watching them in contrast to QPR, Ben, the patterns when they're playing out, how comfortable they are, all are in possession. That was really evident to me. They didn't cut through QPR in the first half. The 2 goals kind of came in a flurry, and it was a bit of a blur. And all of a sudden, QPR were 2-0 behind, but they were so lacking in creativity, QPR, wanting to play out, but the amount of time Steve Cook was just sat on the ball with limited options, and it ends up going forward to a forward line that at the moment just cannot keep the ball in the opposition's half. Salah had a couple of opportunities and showed a little bit more willing in the second half, but obviously the fans are on him. He's not particularly aggressive or strong or much of a focal point, so the ball keeps coming straight back. So it was a real difficult opening 45. They rallied and got back to 2-1, and there's a few people around me were saying, typical QPR, going to give you hope. And
well, they were right.
And they're not going to get the second. And obviously Latte Lath and the fella.
I thought that was a great goal, that third goal, Sam. I thought it was a brilliant pass by McGree to play him in.
Yeah, I don't think I said it out loud, but I knew he was going to come on and finish it, Latte Lath. I just had that sense. Conway had obviously done his work, and I had a feeling that Latte Lath was going to come on and finish it. So no, far and away the better side, deserved the win. Wasn't blown away by Middlesbrough. I think they've got a nice style and they play some good stuff, but I think there's going to be inconsistency there. I'm not sure if they're up there with the leading lights in the division at the moment. That may change. I'm sure when they've got a full complement and maybe with some additions and with momentum. But at the moment, yeah, they're the good side, but not a great side, I would say. And for QPR, what I'm hanging on to, despite a real evident lack of confidence, goal threat, pretty much everything really is a worry. They obviously have Clark Salter to come back in, Kenneth Powell, Jack Colback, Dembele, Frey up front, and they need a fit and firing Ilias Chair. I mean, I know I'm asking a lot here, but if they can at least get 2 or 3 of those bodies back, I think they'll start to look a more coherent outfit. But at the moment, considering that goal, I think, was given to Dijksteel rather than Steve Cook, I'm not sure where the next goal's coming from. It's not a great last sentence when I'm talking about a football team. So, yeah, that's QPR Middlesbrough. Luton, I thought, just quickly, fully warranted that victory last night. It probably should have been more comfortable.
Cardiff have been incredible the last 5 games, haven't they?
Cardiff have been incredible, but remain winless on the road. Obviously, they're really powerful at home, and they really disappointed me in an attacking sense last night. I could see in the first half what Omar Reitz has done and he's trying to do. There's some nice patterns. The front players look confident, and they kind of saturate areas of the pitch, and you can almost throw a kind of sheet over some of the forward players on occasions, and they play nice little intricate stuff, but they didn't really have any end product. They looked a little bit lackluster, maybe in the final third, given the efforts to get the win over Norwich at the weekend. And Luton, especially last 10 of the first half and the entirety of the second half, too strong, too powerful. Doughty and Morris's combination down the left,
Did Doughty
Doughty
get
had a
injured, Sam?
He did. He got injured, but he'd used his 3 intervals for his substitutions, Rob Edwards. So Doughty had to hobble back on and just be an extra body for the last 5-10 minutes. But he was really impactful last night.
Big
Jacob
difference.
Brown gets the goal from a corner. Really bad defending from El Ghazi. And then Adebayo comes on and has a great effect for 20-25 minutes from Jacob Brown. And he and 1 or 2 others could have extended the margin of victory. So I was really impressed with Luton last night in I would say, a high-pressured game, a really high-pressure game. A bigger game, I said on the commentary, and I'm sure people will be not fully on board maybe, but I thought it was a much bigger game for Luton than Cardiff last night. I thought Luton kind of had to win that one, and they did. And despite it only being 1-0, they, in my opinion, won it well. And if you haven't seen it, there was a handball appeal turned down in the first half. It hits both centre halves.
They had one against West Brom as well that should have been a pen, shouldn't they?
Well, the one last night, because I said on the commentary, "Oh, Chambers, it's hit Chambers' hand," and someone on my ear said, "Sam, it's hit Gutas as well." I said, so we had it from another angle, and it just nicks off, I think, Gutas's fist or his forearm, and then Chambers nearly catches it. And like the response from the Luton lads is like, as you can imagine, very animated. Carlton Morris gets yellow carded in the aftermath, but I mean, a terrible miss from the officials. It was 2 penalties.
Carlton Morris loves a dialogue with an official, doesn't he? He spends a lot of his game. He's the captain.
Yeah, he's been a bit lively recently, hasn't he? Yeah, I think he was lively at Coventry. Maybe booked for something similar. I'll have to check that. But yeah, he is a bit lively at the moment. But he's playing well.
There you go. So, cause for concern really is QPR, but a little touch on Luton and Borough and Cardiff in there. Sam, am I allowed to use the word landslide after the political events of this week and people getting very animated about that? But it is a landslide in the mouthwatering matchup poll over on the community tab for next week with 5%, Norwich versus Bristol City with 8%, Middlesbrough versus Luton with 13%, Sunderland versus Coventry. But your mouthwatering matchup with 74% is obviously Sheffield United versus Sheffield Wednesday. We talked about Sheffield United a lot on the show this season. They're on for the 3-game week, the 9-point 3-game week, excuse me. So let's not really talk about what they have done, but let's talk about, God, this must be the first one since what? 2018, 19? Sheffield football fans will correct me, Blades fans and Owls fans, on that one, but a welcome return. Let me get the head-to-head up and check that. Yeah, 4th of March, 2019. I was there, and there's been 3 0-0s in a row since that. Do you remember the Bouncing Day massacre where Mark Duffy scored a brilliant goal? Anyway,
we're a similar age, mate, aren't we? What do you think of when
Chris Waddle and Alan Cork?
Good,
yeah.
that's the correct answer.
Chris Waddle shooting from that free kick is just utterly ridiculous.
Sheffield United have the nice kit with the laces, you know, right when that was
Wednesday got to 2 cup finals, both against Arsenal. We're really indulging our early 90s.
Well, that's our era, mate, isn't it?
Yeah. But check out that Chris Waddle goal. By the way, we're talking about an FA Cup semi-final. Do you know what? I reckon that might have been the first year the semis were at Wembley, because was that when Gaza scored the free kick in the other game? Spurs? No, because Spurs got to the fight. Spurs Forest. That would have been the year before. Yeah. Anyway, I'm conflating my early 90s years. Anyway, Sam, that is probably the worst setup anyone has ever done in podcast history. I need you to give Sheffield United a bit of praise. I need you to give Sheffield Wednesday a bit of praise, because they did beat Norwich, but Norwich were decimated by injuries. But fair play Wednesday. How excited are you about the Steel City derby being back on Sunday?
Yeah, I'm really excited. Yeah, I've got a bit of a soft spot for. Am I allowed to say both clubs? I don't know. I think they're clubs from afar that I've always admired. I think I enjoyed playing there first and foremost. My dad's got a bit of a soft spot for Sheffield United as well after having university in the city. It's a great
football city, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And I think when you got a city of that size, I got quite a few mates as well, a few Wednesday mates and stuff like that I've picked up over the years. So Yeah, I think it's great when there's a city like that and it's separated by two clubs and everyone's got someone to follow in the one city. So yeah, brilliant game. We'll look forward to that. I think you bang on there, and more fool us for maybe not reading up on Norwich's team news too much. I don't know what your
all the
prediction
Norwich
was.
fans are in the comments saying,
"Oh, were they?
What are you guys doing? We got no midfield."
Oh, were they? I didn't realise.
They're right,
that was sloppy from us. I got to be watching every press conference from now on. I weren't on that at all. So when I saw the side, I was like, "Oh, we dropped one there." And obviously Sheffield Wednesday, I think, are not a bad side. I think for their sake, they probably just got to, I don't know what the phrase is, but just forget about the Watford debacle as quickly as possible, because I think the signs are pretty decent for Sheffield Wednesday. They obviously owe a debt of gratitude to the goalkeeper, I think, Long, for the second one, and I'm sure he's getting a little bit of heat, but no need to go there now. I think it'll be a really competitive game. I think it's two teams, despite them shipping 6 the other day. I think two teams that are hard to beat. And two teams that structurally are very good. I think Sheffield United still, their strength is in their setup and in the way they defend, in their centre halves. And they're digging in to win games in quite an unfashionable way at the moment. But I mean, that's a brilliant facet to have. I'm sure at times as the season evolves and the front players find a bit better rhythm, or there's better options probably, because he's lost Kiefer Moore now, maybe. No Brewster. Tyrese Campbell, I think, up there by himself for the majority. So their options in the striking department are a little bit diminished, and I still think that the balance of the side looks a little bit off, and he's still, for different games, looking at different permutations, which is not a bad thing. But I think in time, he'd want to nail down a starting position for maybe Hamer and O'Hare, who are playing a variety of roles at the moment. I think Brooks played on the right-hand side the other day. Versatile customer, so he gives Chris Wilder options as well. I really enjoyed the winning goal. I think it was Arblaster with a pass. It was a brilliant pass, brilliant spot for Burrows to finish, and a real morale boosting victory, because I don't think they were fully at it until latterly in the game. Bristol City kind of lost their control, a couple of costly mistakes, but Sheffield United to respond, I think, from the disappointment of those two away defeats with 3 straight wins against tough opponents as well. They're not gimmies. What was it? Stoke, Blackburn, and now Bristol City. They're 3 tricky games in the context of a championship season.
On the road for two of them, Sam, as well.
Yeah, and especially, I think all those teams in their current guys, Stoke have been a little bit indifferent, but I think Blackburn and Bristol City are particularly tricky games. So that's a great response from them. The game's at Bramall Lane, did you say?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'd be tight. I think it'd be really tight. I'd probably
good time to plug the prediction show, probably, Sam, isn't it?
Yeah. I'll save my prediction, but I'd probably say no more than 3 goals, maybe even stretch it to no more than 2. So I think it'll be a tight affair, because I've got, I'm a big fan of Danny Rose, and I think that was a bit of an anomaly against Watford. I'll be very surprised if that type of thing happens again.
There you go, brilliant stuff, guys. We're going to go to the quiz. Obviously, we haven't mentioned every single game, every single team from the back-to-back games. As you can see, it's a bit of a nightmare keeping across all of this football. And Sam also has some Premier League commitments as well to kind of look after. So we hope you understand, and we will try our best to mention, certainly in the international break, everybody's team and get across that. Right, we're going to the quiz, Sam, and I have specific instructions from Fev, who you should follow, Fev's Football Analytics at Fev's Football, that I ask you second. Okay, so I don't know what's the scoreline in the quiz. I can't bloody remember. I think, are you up by 2?
I can't recall. We can tidy that up next week, can't we?
Yeah, that's my plan with a lot of stuff at the moment. Tidy it up next week. But anyway, you ask first, matey.
Yeah, I'm all over this, mate. All over it. It's a great question.
Are you going to be good?
I don't think I'd be very good at this. No, I think I've had too
I'm
little
getting the
sleep.
league table up, okay?
Too little sleep, but I'm all over this. Right. 6 of the best. Can you, Ben, name the 6 all-time championship scorers that are still playing in the championship this season?
Oh,
So
in the championship this season?
the 6 players in the champ that have scored the most championship goals.
Oh, my God.
And he's got one in brackets. Surprised me in brackets after this guy's name, but yeah, I can see that. The
So
other,
Billy Sharp's gone. Nugent.
so you get 4 guesses.
Oh, my word.
Great question.
Oh, Jordan Rhodes has dropped down the leagues as well, hasn't
You're on the
he?
right lines.
What, with these classic
Yeah.
players?
I'd say there's 2 classic. Oh, what? Yeah, there's 2 or 3 classic championship forwards. Yeah.
Oh, mate, I am struggling so badly.
I'll give you one clue. One close to
please.
the quizmaster's heart.
So Bristol City. So is that Naki Well?
I'll give you your point for that.
Okay.
Is that your
thank
first
you.
guess?
Yeah, that is my first
Yeah.
guess.
Okay.
Right. Is that the
You're on the
classic
board.
one? Or is there another classic one? Or
Oh,
am I
there's
asking?
another couple of classics. Yeah.
Why am I not getting these
You're on
totally
the board.
obvious classics? J. Rodriguez.
2 from 2.
Oh, hello. Is that a classic?
Yeah, I would say
Yeah.
so.
Okay. Kiefer Moore.
He's not there.
Mother effer.
I'll give you the lowest total. The lowest total is 59 in 6th position. So Kiefer's not got 59.
No, he's not got that many, has he?
So you're 2 from 3. Last guess.
Thomas Ince.
Correct. Second on the list. I wouldn't have got that. So you got your 3 points. 3 from 4. Okay,
So I'm putting out of my misery with the others.
Okay, so Naki Wells most, which surprised me, 105. Tom Ince, 94. Patrick Bamford.
Oh, come on.
69. Vyman. Andy Vyman.
Oh, he got like 25 in one season for Bristol City, didn't he?
Jay Rodriguez, you got on 64. And Joel Piroux on
already
59. Was he surprised? Yeah.
Okay.
Great question.
Really good question. Let us know if you got more than that in the comments. I'm good with all of Nugent and McCormack and all those lads who are the all-time top scorers, but that was a nasty one. Right.
Is he asking me for the lowest scoring strikers? Jan Salah at QPR.
No, but there is a team
his name. That's not his name, is it? Salah?
Sam, can you name the 6 all-time championship appearance makers still playing in the championship?
Oh man.
But are not in that top scorers list, okay? So they can't be in the names that are in front of you right now in the top scorers list, you can't say. So
I don't think I'll get anywhere near that.
No. Do you want a clue?
No, I could throw one straight at you just because did I see one of them in the week in the flesh?
You have most definitely seen one of them in the flesh, yeah.
Johnny Howson.
Yes, he is number 1. Well done.
Oh, is he? That's a hell of a get. Oh, I'm chuffed
449. Incredible. How many? Do you know what your career appearance total was?
No, not much more than that. How many has he played?
449 in the championship.
Yeah, maybe I played 400 games, something around that.
Man.
But yeah, nowhere near that level. Right, where am I going to go next? I can get the teams up, can't I?
Yeah, please.
What about? God, this is hard. What about Kyle Bartley?
Kyle Bartley is not on there. It's not a bad shout, actually, though.
Yeah.
So that's 2, 1 for 2.
This is too hard for me, mate. Surely not. He's played too long there. Still playing in the champ, yeah?
Can I give you a clue?
Carl McFadden.
I don't know how he's not on there. I suppose he played a lot in League One.
Give me a clue.
I've actually won now because I got 3 to 9. Think of the first segment of this podcast. There are 2 Millwall players in this list.
Are there?
Yeah.
Well, one's got to be Jake Cooper.
Yep.
And
you're going to central midfield here, Sam.
Savile.
George Savile. You've
Give me the
got.
club for the other one then.
There's another two. We said Sunderland needed more experience.
Brown.
Alan Brown. You've got one more. Plays for. Where is Joe Rules now? There you go. I'll give you the answer. Cardiff.
Oh God, I would never have got Brown and Rules.
Oh, that's good fun. Good fun one.
Very good question. Very good question.
Bev,
Sorry that I couldn't contribute more.
There you go. Well, Sam's going to be contributing more on the prediction show, which we're also going to get out. So we'll bid you a fond farewell from the Championship check-in, and we will be back on Monday with another show.